Today I'm going to talk about predatory publishing and ethical publishing. Just to give you a bit of background, I've been involved in publishing for about 20 years. I started with student journal, publishing in a student journal, becoming editor-in-chief for a student journal. And then I started working on technical editing of the journals during my studentship in master's degree, and I started publishing since I was undergrad student, I've been doing a lot of publishing work, including involvement in establishment of a publication office that now publishes a lot of English medical journals. And I helped about 40 to 50 medical journals to improve their practice and get indexed in the databases that they wanted. So I've done a lot of work in publishing as my side interest. And the reason that I'm delivering this is I see a lot of my students, a lot of my colleagues have been receiving emails from predatory publishers and journals, conferences, and other really scammers, trying to convince them to give up their money and to get them into fame, to develop their career through publishing, and trying to convince them that there are shortcuts to progress, unethical and sometimes illegal shortcuts to become a successful academic, a successful student or scientist or researcher. In this presentation, I'm going to unbox some of the and demystify some of the methods that they are using to get people in believing that the email that you've received is genuine, while it is after your money, your time, or your expertise. So, why do we call them predatory? Because they are predators. They are like those tiger or jaguar who is after getting a gazelle or any other vulnerable, let's say, creature. So they are looking to hunt us, to get our money, to get our time, and to use us and abuse us. And that's why they set a bait. And the bait is the email that you're receiving. They usually contact you by email, and almost all the time by email. Sometimes if you are in academic social media websites, they may contact you through those websites as well. But it is very important to remember that any email that you're receiving, either it is invitation to submit paper, a conference, you need to assess them critically. You need to think about them and you need to analyze them in detail, because in most cases these are not legitimate emails. They are not contacting you for academic purposes or for the purpose of science, and their target is either your money, your time, or your expertise, and they want all of them for free. They want your money for free, your time for free, or your expertise for free. So how do they do that? They ask you to submit a paper as an author. So you need to spend time to write a paper, to prepare a paper, or if you have a rejected paper somewhere, or if you have uploaded recently a paper manuscript to a preprint server or a website, they would know and they will find your email address online, if it is from the publications or from anywhere that you have mentioned your email. So it is very important to keep your email safe and don't put it everywhere, because if your email is out there, it means they know your address and they will put that pizza brochures inside your house. That is the same thing. As soon as they have your email address, they will keep emailing you to ask you to become author, to publish with them, to submit a paper to them. Sometimes they even ask you to peer review papers for them. And that is to start a connection, because many of these predatory publishers and journals, they don't have peer review process. Sometimes they go even higher. Because you are amazing scientist and you haven't done anything, obviously, I haven't done anything, but they contact me, please become editor in our journal. And if you are a bit more experienced researcher, they will even contact you to say that become editor-in-chief of our journal. So they may not ask for your money when they ask you to peer review or become editor, but they are after your name, your time, and your expertise. They want it on their journal website. And sometimes even if it is agreed, they may add your name to their website and you cannot do anything about it because you don't know who they are. But yes, consider that if they are coming for you, for your paper, it's highly likely that they are predatory, because normally journals wouldn't do that. The good journals are known. You could ask what journals are good from your librarian. You could ask what journals are good in the field from your expert scientist in your field. So, and then you go for the journals. The journals don't come to you. They don't contact people out of nowhere. So it is you who choose the journals, not the other way around, in most cases, unless you are very extremely esteemed researcher, and then you would know the journals, and the journals that you already know and the editors that you already know, they may contact you. But if you are receiving an email from a journal that you've never heard of them, from the editor that you've never heard of them, then you should be suspicious. And they are not going to do anything for the science, for the people, for the public, for the patients. They are just after money and financial interest. So how people create these journals, these bad people who created bad journals, how do they do that? It is very easy. You just create a website and copy the content from the other journals. There you go. You've got yourself a journal website. Even if you don't have any papers, because it is unethical, you could copy papers from other people's websites, other journals. And some journals do that. Some predatory journals do that. And then you put a title for your journal. But because you are after money, and if you want to earn more money, you need to have bigger audience, the title of the journal is going to be very broad. It's going to be International Journal of Medical Sciences or Global Journal of Healthcare, something like that. And occasionally the journals copy the name of very famous journals to imitate them. They may call themselves Lancet or the Journal of Science, so you could mistake them with Science magazine or anything like that. And then after having a website and a journal title, what they need is people's email addresses. And they are either purchasing it from the mailing lists, which is easy. Now there are people selling email addresses, or they could just collect them because it is free. Our email addresses are available online for free. Many of us have email addresses for free. And if you don't have them, if there are websites in a dark web that are hacked, let's say, some of the websites, and they've got these email addresses, they could purchase them from there. But anyway, they find these emails, a lot of them, like thousands of them, and keep sending the emails. There will be a percentage of people who would be fooled by these emails, and they will submit papers to these journals. But they have become more complex. Now, as soon as you publish a paper in any journal, they immediately contact you. Now they've become smarter. So they put the title of your paper in their subject line and make you to think that it is relevant because you recently published it, and you open that email. Even when you open that email, they will know. The system alarms them that you open that email, so they know that you might be interested. So they may send a second follow-up email and third follow-up email just to ask you to submit something or a commentary or a brief of that paper to their journal. And they may even invite you to present the paper that you just published in a conference, a predatory conference. So if you publish with open access journals, you are even more vulnerable because they think that this guy has paid to publish their paper. So if they've paid once, they are more likely to pay again. But this time we will not ask for 1,000 or 2,000 euros or pound or US dollar. We will tell them that we will publish your paper for 100 US dollar, and to trap them, because this is what they do. And after these 3 steps of having a website, a journal title, and an email, list of emails from people, you are a predator. You just create it. So it is so easy to become a predatory journal. And because it is so easy, there are so many of them. And some of them have become even more complex because they are aware that people at the university, they don't receive any training about academic publishing, indexing. They don't know what is the process of publishing in the journals. And because they don't know, it is easy to confuse them. It's like when a doctor says to a patient that your DPLA is very high, and you have no idea what that is. That is how you confuse people. So these journals say that, for example, I'm indexed in Thomson Reuters, or I'm indexed in Web of Science, or I'm indexed in Medline or PubMed, and people don't know what these are. What is the difference between PubMed, what is Web of Science, what is citation index? They don't know what is impact factor. And because they don't know, you could easily confuse them. Even if they are telling the truth or they are lying, you don't know how to find out if they are indexed in Medline. You don't know how to find out what is their impact factor. I mean, even you don't know if having impact factor is important at all, because it doesn't say anything. And they create fake DOIs. And sometimes even they say that we have a journal with ISSN. ISSN is International Standard for Serials. And you could get that number for free. Anyone can have ISSN. It's very easy to get it. And because people don't know, they think that having ISSN is important, which isn't important. That's why they put it in the subject of email. They say that we will assign DOI to your papers. You could get free DOI if you upload your paper to preprint servers or to ResearchGate. It is easy to create free DOIs. So they use these tricks to confuse people, because people have heard of impact factor, have heard of DOI or Medline or Web of Science or ISI. They get easily confused. So these are the methods that they are using. But if you want to recognize them, there are easy ways, simple ways to recognize them. Consider that these people are after one thing, the money. They love money. And because they love money, they don't want to spend money. And what it has to do with anything, I will tell you. So there are 4 big signs that a journal is predatory and you should not publish with them. The first and the most important one is that they are not indexed in Medline. I've put the URL here that you could check each one of the journals and their indexing status in Medline. If it doesn't say currently indexed in Medline, it means they are not Medline journal. So you could search them. That is the only way to find out if a journal is indexed in Medline or not. And people ask me why you are focusing on Medline, why you are not telling Web of Science or ISI or Scopus or Embase. Because, based on my experience, Medline is the hardest database to get indexed in. They do a thorough check of each journal. They ask them to do a lot of stuff to get indexed, and if they reject a journal, it will take a few years. Even for getting indexed, you need to publish a few issues. So they know that actually you can publish a few issues and you know how the publishing works. So that's why it reduces the risk of getting into predatory journals by 70–80%. It means if a journal is not indexed in Medline, don't go for it. That's it. That's simple. There are a few new journals. So if a journal starts recently, obviously for the first 5 issues, they are not going to be indexed, but you need to make sure that the other criteria are met. and you need to make sure that you know their publisher, you are definitely sure that the journal is legitimate and they are going to be indexed in the future in Medline. If you're not sure, just don't go for it. Don't risk it. And some of these journals, to confuse people, say that we are indexed in PubMed. And that could be a very confusing concept to say in this presentation, but PubMed doesn't mean Medline. Some of the journals could have 1 or 2 papers in PubMed because they are published by people who are funded by US government. And because they are funded by US government, they must deliver a copy of their paper to PubMed Central. And because that 1 or 2 papers go to PubMed Central, they become visible in PubMed. It doesn't mean that the journal is indexed in PubMed. It means that the 1 or 2 papers are archived in PubMed Central. It has nothing to do with PubMed, with Medline. It has nothing to do with Medline. And you need to be very careful because many journals now are getting indexed in PubMed Central, but they are not Medline indexed. So they are getting archived in PubMed Central. Their full text is there. They could do that much easier because the criteria to get into PubMed Central is much easier than Medline. The second criteria is fake DOI numbers. To convince people that they are good journals, they say that, yeah, our papers have DOIs. And the way to find that is to copy that DOI number and add it at the end of doi.org/ and press enter. It must take you to that paper in that journal's website. If it doesn't, it is a fake one. It is a lie. Occasionally it appears that some of the DOIs, even in legitimate journals, don't work, like one of them. But if you check a few of DOI numbers and realize that none of them are working, it means that there is no DOI, it is fake, it is a lie. And why it is important? Because if you are a publisher and you're publishing a journal, and to get DOIs, you have to pay. They don't want to pay. They don't know actually what DOI is. They just know that there is some numbers there and some letters, and they put it together. And they don't want to pay, and they don't want to become professional publishers. They are after your money. That's why they wouldn't have DOI numbers, and even if they have, it will not work. The third one is that these journals contact you directly. Legitimate good journals will not contact the authors directly. The authors already know them. People already know them. Because they've been in the field for a while. You know the journals in your field. And that's why if they contact you directly, you would know that this is not a legitimate journal. And then they claim to be English journals, and when you open that email, the email is horrible. And these emails waste millions of research hours from the people who have to read and figure out if it is legitimate email or not. And it wastes money as well. Imagine millions of hours that could have been research hours. You're doing research, finding treatments for the conditions, finding diagnosis, finding preventive methods. It's wasted by just reading these emails. So these journals don't care about people's life. And it kills people's life hour by hour, minute by minute. And it kills patients because the time that I could have put into research has been put on reading those emails, and in some cases even people preparing papers and publishing with these journals. So these three. The fourth one is that these journals do not have HTML full text. And even if they have, it is very messy, unattractive. It's the same with the PDFs. They don't have professional PDFs. But PDF is not important because you could turn anything into PDF now. You could just have a Word document and save it as PDF. Making PDF is not hard. But having a beautiful website, having good HTML for the full text of paper, including tables, including figures, including references and everything. It is time consuming, it requires expertise, and it is costly. That's why they will avoid it. Predatory journals would avoid it. And these four will keep you away. If a journal doesn't meet one of these, just done. DOI doesn't work, not indexed in Medline, they contact you, and they don't have full text HTML. And those are my 4 go-to signs to detect that a journal is predatory. But there are other signs as well. The fact that they are promising quick acceptance for publication. Why do they do that? Because they know that the researchers are fed up with the journal's lengthy peer review process and publishing process. So if they promise quick publication, be worried. The content is horrible. You start reading the papers and you realize that these are not high quality papers, these are not peer reviewed, these are not written with experts, so you could recognize it. Their website is horrible because having a good website is costly, and it doesn't have to be very beautiful. It is not even organized. You could recognize that you cannot trust this website. The pricing is affordable compared to other open access journals. So if you're paying 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds or euros or US dollar for the other journals to make your paper open access, these ones are going to be 50, 100, 200, so that they know that you can afford it. And because they are targeting people in low and middle income countries and early career researcher, which means poor people, financially poor people, that's why they will ask to amount of money that is affordable for them. They have fake editorial board, or the editorial board that you don't know them. Like if it's a journal in cardiology, you look at these people's list and you haven't heard of any of these names. You look at their profile, you don't see any paper published. Sometimes you see there are famous people among the editorial board, but then you contact this editorial board to say if you are really an editor of this journal. They say that, no, I had no idea. They have just put my name there. You don't know if the editorial board is actually legitimate. It could be completely fake. And they copy the identity of other journals. So if there is a very famous journal, international journal of something, they will copy exactly the same name and put it on their website. So people would confuse which one to submit to, and some of them will, by mistake, submit to the fake journal. They will use a lot of words like international, global, and world in the title, and they will choose broad topics. And sometimes they publish the initial issues for free because they have no papers. They say that publish with us for free. In most cases, they don't have peer review and they don't have rejection, because if they reject, they cannot get paid. So they will accept anything, really. So I talked a lot about the journals, but the journals are, well, if it is a single journal, people could detect them, report it, get them blacklisted, so people realize that these journals are predatory soon, and they get them blacklisted or removed or all sorts of things to defend the science. So some of these journals have become even more, well, outrageous. So not only they have created mega journals that publish everything in short term before they stop and they disappear. There are actually, some of these journals have become publishers, and they have started publishing many journals, many predatory journals in many topics. So it gives the sense that if you see a publisher with, let's say, 200 journals, you may think that because they are publishing 200 journals, it could be a legitimate publisher. So that gives you that wrong idea. But it is also to earn more money. What happens that is becoming even more confusing is that some of these predatory journals actually occasionally, after, let's say, 10 years or 20 years, get impact factor. Some of them even may get indexed in Medline. It's very important. And some of them get impact factor of higher than 10. And it becomes confusing. So you see a publisher that has 200 journals, 5 of them have impact factors, 3 of them are indexed in Medline, and you get confused if you should trust it or not. Some of these predatory publishers have become really, really good at what they are doing. And they've even started publishing books and chapters, and they ask you, we will publish your book for free, but you will transfer copyright to us. It means that they get all the money. You just give them the book. They put, they even ask you to design the cover, and they put the cover on top of the file that you sent them, and they put it out there as a book. Or they ask for book chapters. And they become more and more professional, and they become so professional that it is not easy to recognize them. And some of them actually, among all the predatory journals that they are publishing, 1 or 2 of their journals become good journals. So it has become even more complex. So enough of the journals. Let's go for the conferences, workshops like this one. And there are other practices. So the predatory publishing and journals aside, there is also predatory conferences. You receive an email, invited speaker to a conference in your field, even in irrelevant field, but you are invited speaker. Who cares? You are going to speak to a room full of people. Nobody would say no to that. And then they ask for your paper, sometimes for free. Sometimes they say that registration is free. Sometimes they say that no, you need to pay for the registration. And the venue of the conference usually is holiday, sunny place like Dubai, Faro, Paris, somewhere that people love to go, because that is how you could get money out of people. And you say that, yeah, this conference coming and we are inviting you as a speaker, but to register you need to pay. Sometimes they say that you don't even have to pay for registration, but eventually they will ask money on the way. To publish your paper in the abstract book, we need money. To issue a certificate for you, we need money, or anything else. And almost in all the cases, they contact you to say that the conference, you don't have to come to conference because it is expensive to fly, because the hotels are expensive. You don't have to come, just pay and we will issue a certificate to you. There is no conference. Sometimes they say that the conference has been cancelled and all of that. So these conferences exist, and the reason that it exists is that the way that conference is happening in the world right now, like the journals, is wrong. The conferences should work by using volunteer people to keep them cheap, affordable for everyone. You could discuss and get donation from people or sponsor to keep it cheap. But because some of these conferences have become outrageously expensive, obviously predatory conferences have found a way to create cheap conferences to get money out of people. And you think that it will stop there, because academic people think that they are intelligent, they are smart people. No one can deceive them. No one can get their money. Don't stop there. There are predatory practices such as giving you a reward. You have been chosen to become the researcher of the year in Lisbon. What you need to do is to just pay €100 and we will send you your reward. Or I don't know what they're going to send you, but they're going to send you something for €100, or they may not send anything actually. And they sent this email to hundreds, thousands of people, the same email, to say that they have won an award or recognition. That is one of them. It used to be in the early days of internet, they were saying that there's Who's Who was a guide that was publishing famous people. And if you were paying money, there were websites imitating, copying Who's Who. They were saying that if you pay us, we will put your biography on this Who's Who directory. Now we don't have that much. Instead, they contact you to say that if you pay us $600, and I received this email through my Cambridge University email address, saying that if you pay us $600, we will create a web page in Wikipedia for you, because you are so famous and you've done so many good things and you are great and the world should know about you and all of that crap. Yeah? So they come after you for anything. There were times that people even selling the stars in the sky So if you were paying to this website, and I think that website still exists, you could buy a star in the sky and give it as a gift to your beloved ones. So this sort of predatory practices always was around and is going to be around. You need to be just very vigilant and very careful. But why do they succeed? Why predatory people succeed? Aren't we academics? Aren't we intelligent, smart, great people who can think clearly, who can critically appraise? Why do they succeed? Well, they look at a gap. They find a gap in our practice, in our career, something that has not been filled, and they provide a solution. As soon as they see that people complain about the long peer review processes in journals, they email you to say that they will publish your paper in a week or 2 weeks, because they know that that is what people are complaining about. As soon as they realize that people are looking for promotion to become assistant professor, associate professor, or full professor, they say that we have papers for you. You can publish in this journal with this impact factor. We can increase your H index. There are all sorts of things that they would do because we have done something wrong, and that is the current practice of publishing is wrong. The current practice of open access is wrong. The current practice of academic promotion is wrong. And because we are doing wrong stuff, they say that, okay, you are already doing it wrong. Let me show you to do it in another wrong way so that I could earn some money. So what is wrong? Let's say when we are publishing papers in journals, we are the authors. So in old days, you have heard of William Shakespeare. You have heard of Charles Dickens. You have heard of Pablo Coelho, haven't you? How do they live? Do they live in a street? Or do they earn money? How do they earn money? They publish books with publishers and get paid for the work that they've done. For each copy of the book that has been sold, J.K. Rowling gets some money. It's called royalties, the money that the authors get for publishing. When it comes to the academic practice, academic journals, there is no such thing. You write the paper for free, you submit the paper for free to the journal, and you sign a copyright form giving the copyright to the journal that they could do anything they want with your paper and sell it at any price that they want without paying you a penny. So it is worse than slavery, because if you were a slave, you would have a shed to live in it, and they will give you some food to stay alive, to continue slavery. It is worse than slavery. You don't get anything. And then they ask us to peer review this paper for the journals. You are the expert, yeah? You've studied 10 years. You've worked in this practice 20 years. And because you have 20 years of experience, you must work for free. The next time you go to grocery, ask them to give you something for free. Ask your plumber to work for free for an hour. They wouldn't. But you, because you're a smart person and you've done 20 years of work and you are intelligent, you will work for free. Because that is what intelligent people do, working for free. So you peer review a paper for a few hours for free, and then you become editor of a journal for free, because it is just nice to have this editorship on your CV or resume, to say that I'm the editor of this journal, which means I'm working for free for some people to earn money from my work, and has nothing to do with science, because they don't spend that money on science, they just put it in their pocket. And then we sign the copyright form for the publishers to sell the paper that has been funded by the public funding, written for free by you, peer-reviewed for free by your colleagues, edited for free by your colleagues, and then they get all the money. It's the pure profit for the publishers. So it is unethical, isn't it? Why do we do that? What's wrong with us? And then this predatory publisher said that these people are being abused already. Why shouldn't I abuse them? The open access publishing model is similar as well, and this is confusing to people because people think that they pay to publish. They don't know why they are paying actually. They think that to get published, you have to pay. They have not received any training. What is open access? What is green open access? What is gold open access? Why do we pay this publisher? And why do we pay this much? I mean, you could publish anything open access, not in journals. You could just upload it into preprint, and that is free. Why do we need this open access model? To confuse people. And then we don't receive any training about publishing or scientific writing. We don't receive any training. It is easy to fool us. It is easy to people approaching us and getting our money because we have not received any training. And what is worse is that the academic career promotion regulations consider publishing. I mean, we have something say publish or perish. And they mean publishing with these journals, with these abusers. You should publish. I mean, academia encourages us to get abused, to have H-index, to have published papers in these journals. I mean, academia encourages us to work for free, to get promotion. And that needs to be changed. And we, each one of us, should push this agenda that publishing in academic journals, H-index and impact factor should be removed from the regulations. People should be judged by their impact in the world, positive impact in the world. That is not enough. So we have two types of people who are benefiting. One is people with low self-esteem, people who need external approval. They are jealous of their colleagues who are getting all the attention for publishing here and publishing there. So it is easy to get these people into trap. And there are second abuser people who they know that they cannot do any high quality research. They know that they are not great in their field, but they could use this predatory publishing to show that, yeah, I've published 10 papers. I've published 20 peer-reviewed papers in the journals. And so there are two types of people who are benefiting actually these predatory publishers. And there are people who have become professors after publishing with these predatory publishers. I mean, shouldn't we go back and get their professorship away, really? And then early career researchers, they don't have much money. They couldn't get funded because the funders will not pay a lot of money to these people. People in low and middle income country, they don't have enough money to do amazing research. So what happens is that because they couldn't do this amazing research, they couldn't publish in these amazing journals that have become now gatekeepers. They don't let people to publish anything, even if it is scientific. They look at other criteria like how many times this paper is going to be cited. And if they realize that your paper is not going to get much citations, they will reject it. That is because we care. We have made impact factor very important. So these people don't have much money. Their English is not good. Their research skills are not good. They don't have resources for high quality research. They are easy target. But it doesn't stop there. What is horrible is that these predators are anonymous. And because they are anonymous, you don't know who they are. Because you don't know who they are, where do they live, where are they based at, you cannot take them to court. I mean, let's say you have money to pay the lawyers. I mean, someone contacts you. His name is Farhad Shokraneh, which is me. And then when they contact you, they don't say that they are Farhad Shokraneh. They say that they are Jessica Wilde, or they call themselves Sophie Turner, or Michael Jackson, or some of these very Western English names to convince you that, yeah, we are good, we are English. And then you read their email and realize that this English is horrible. But anyway, you don't know who they are because they don't use their real name. They don't have real address. Even their website, they could just click a button and get rid of website. That's simple. So it is not easy to legally challenge these people. It's the same as people who are putting the pizza brochures into your house. You don't know who they are. They advertise a pizza shop, but you don't know who they are, the people, and you couldn't take them. Sometimes they even wear masks when they are doing it, so you couldn't recognize them. It is the same here, and that's why they succeed. They have all the elements that they need, a good market, and then they succeed. What is the solution? And that is my final slide for this session. Ask your librarian, because the librarians working at the universities, they would know all about these journals, the predatory journals. They could guide you where to find out if a journal is indexed in Medline, if the DOI is working, if this is a good journal, so they could help you. But don't rely just on them. Also do critical appraisal of any journal that you want to submit to, any journal that you choose to work with. And there are blacklists that you could check, but don't just simply rely on all of them. And thank you for listening. I hope you find it helpful.